Welcome to episode 4 of Loft Talk. I want to give you some hacks and some know-how on is it cheaper to buy or rent a property? Stay tuned to the end for a little secret I want to give you. So is it cheaper to rent a home rather than buy a home? Let me give you the best argument for a rental being cheaper. Number one, you're not liable for anything that happens within the property outside of like something you did to the property. Like if you purposely damaged, like if you took a sledgehammer to the countertop, don't do that. Even if you own the home, don't do that. But if the dishwasher goes out, if the electricity's acting up, if the plumber needs to come out, it's not normally your responsibility. You don't have to pay for it. Number two, you don't have mortgage insurance attached to the property, and you only have to pay rental insurance, which is typically cheaper than home insurance. Not only that, you're not responsible for property taxes either. So there's a lot lining up there. And then the fifth argument is there's more flexibility. You know, if you just want to leave, you can leave. If you want to move, you can move, unlike owning a property where you're locked into a mortgage. So let's talk about the other side though, buying a property. So when you own a home, yes, you are responsible for maintenance. You are responsible for when appliances go out. You are responsible for having the electrician out and the plumber out if there's an issue that comes about. But did you know that the average homeowner spends about $800 in home maintenance outside of regular maintenance, like cleaning it and things like that, and their utility bills? $850 in extra maintenance than a renter does. So that's actually not a significant amount of maintenance, seeing as you own the property, and we'll get into why that's a big difference. Number two, let's talk about the difference in price points. Renting is always more expensive than buying a home and having a mortgage. And the reason being is the same exact house. If there's a mortgage attached to it, it's maybe, let's say $1,300. That same home will rent for $1,500 and $1,600 because the person who's renting it is making a profit off the top of the mortgage they're paying. So the rental market is always going to be more expensive than the mortgage market for the same property in almost all markets, especially here in Delaware. Now, that difference alone, just not paying that extra, let's call it $200, is a total of $2,400 in a given year, as compared to the $850 in extra maintenance if you just simply owned it. On top of that, you're also gonna have deposits. Let's talk about your initial deposit just to get the property, the application fee, and if you got pets, there's more deposits. And you're not guaranteed to get those back. Landlords have been known to walk through every wire and figure out every loophole to keep your deposit for extra money for them. Not saying all do that, but that's a risk you run because it's not completely up to you. So we're talking about close to $2,400, and with deposits over $4,500 or $4,000 in fees just to be in the property for that year. And that mortgage I'm talking about that's like $1,200 as compared to like a $1,500 rental property, that $1,200 includes your home insurance, includes your property taxes, and includes your mortgage insurance. The actual principal and interest on a mortgage of $1,200 is probably only about $820, and that's what's going directly to the bank. Now let's talk about being able to leave the property. A lot of people think renting is more flexible, that they can just simply get out of it and it's a lot easier. Well, that's not the case like at all. So when you want to leave a rental, let's say you get into a rental and 3 months in, you get an offer for a job that's across the country and you got to dip. Now, some and most landlords will say, got you. Okay, just give me 60 days notice and I'll let you out. But not all will do that, and some will require you to pay a certain amount of the months, if not the entire lease amount up to the end of that year to be able to break the lease. On top of that, they'll more than likely keep your deposits as damages for you breaking the lease early. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. On top of the fact of if you bought a property, and let's say you owned a property for 3 years as opposed to rented a property for 3 years. If you own a property for 3 years and leave, you're gonna have equity in the property that's been building up for 3 years of your payments, as well as the market simply getting better, which we know the next 3 years, prices are only going up. As opposed to a rental property for 3 years where it's a good chance every year your rent continue to go up, which your landlord has every right to do if you keep signing 1-year leases. They can even build it into the documentation of a 3-year lease that it goes up a certain amount every single year. This is very common with commercial leases. But at the end of the day, after 3 years, you're probably paying more per month than when you started. You're paying the same exact amount as when you started if you bought, and when you leave the rental property, you might get your deposit check back. When you leave the home you own for 3 years, you're gonna walk away with about 10 to 12% of the value if you got it like a normal 3.5% down property. Meaning you're walking away with money. You're walking away with cash. You're getting some of the money back that you paid to live there and the equity that was gained. It's basically like an interest-free savings plan that you live in. So this is an awesome opportunity where you could walk away with money as opposed to walking away with nothing and possible frustration of a rental property. On top of that, you can't change things in a rental property. You can't paint, you can't change the floor, you can't upgrade anything because you have to get permission, and most will just simply say no. And plus, you don't get to keep it, so why even do it? With a property that you own, you can upgrade it, get more value in it, and you don't have to ask anybody's permission. So that is the difference between buying and renting. Yes, renting can be more convenient at the jump, but over the long term, you're paying a lot of money by not owning the property. So that is episode 4 of Loft Talk.